Content warning. Content warning. Today's show contains smoking, discussions of fictitious violence, possible discussions of psychological conditions that may make some feel triggered, even attacked. So, viewer discretion might be advised. But know this: if you see yourself in what we say or what we talk about, you're not being attacked. You are simply being seen. So that one wasn't too terrible. Yeah, well, we're trying to do all that stuff a little differently, aren't we? Yeah, I guess we are. So, you starting the music or what? Yeah, let's get this going. What's up with the music, dude? Why isn't it starting? Oh, well, let's double check on that. Oh. Hey everybody, how's it going? How's it going out there? I am Solar Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerer, and welcome to the dark side of the room. I know you guys are thinking, what is he wearing? Where is the turtleneck? Well, guess what? Don't have a lot of laundry today. So, since we're doing the whole laundry thing and all that jazz, I figured, you know what? Let's just put some stuff on and do some other stuff. Anyway, thank you guys and welcome to the dark side of the room. This is the show where we talk about many things, a great many things concerning games, life, so much of the game, and all of that jazz. And of course, we talk about, well, you, me, everybody. Because everybody needs somebody to love. Someone to love, someone to kiss, sweetheart to miss, sugar to kiss. Anyway, so let us talk about that stuff today. Today, we are gonna, I know the show is like, what is this? We're pausing? What is that? Blah, blah, blah. We're gonna get into that, all right? But if you got the announcement and you see that we're doing, let's talk about it, all right? Let's talk about this kind of thing. But before we do all of that, I have to let you guys know. Yeah, that's right. Today's topic. What do you mean you ought to clean turtlenecks? Bruh, I live in Southern California, and it seems to either be 15 degrees Fahrenheit or 32 degrees centigrade. I don't know why. It just goes back and forth and back and forth. And today it was just like, well, guess what? It is seriously, seriously hot. And I put on the turtleneck and I'm like, okay, they'll be able to smell this thing through the camera. So I come to you partly naked. I have no turtleneck. I have no turtlenecks. Actually, no, it's just they're in the washing machine. They didn't get out fast enough for me to do today's show because I was up all night doing some other stuff. And yeah, my time management skills are terrible. And if you want to yell at me about my time management skills, it's very simple. All you got to do is pull up your keyboard and type in back in the deck at gmail.com. That's BACKINTHEDECK at gmail.com. You can also hit me up at Twitter. You can also hit me up on Instagram, all at back in the deck. At TikTok, because a lot of people are under the age of 40. And you can hit me up there at BidP, that is at BIDPY. And of course, if you are, like myself, over 40 and a member of that wretched hive of scum and villainy, then you can join us on the Deckers on the Book. That's right, the Deckers on the Book. And as a member of Deckers on the Book, which is a free public Facebook group. You guys can talk to us and me and the other people that are here in the chat and post what you're making, what you're building, what you're playing, just the stuff that interests you and all of that stuff. So that way we can make all of those things happen. So I want to talk. Yeah, if you want to talk to me about management, give him socials, but I can't promise a prompt reply. Ouch. Ouch. You know what? Man, you didn't have to put that out there in public, but no, you're right. I have been lacking on my social media stuff. It has been crazy. Like seriously, I even like missed a doctor's appointment today because I got caught up in a work meeting, but that's okay because sometimes things do happen. But I wanted to talk to you guys today about something that hit me yesterday. And I don't mean a truck, but it did hit me like a truck. All right. And that is after I got off line yesterday. Oh, because time management. Okay. I thought you were calling me out, Zan. Like, yeah, no, I reach out to this guy all the time on socials, and he never talked to me. Yeah, I don't know. Do I smell funny or something? I don't know. Anyway, and you don't actually. No, you're pretty awesome. Actually, I'm really glad that I met you, and I'm glad that the mutual person that we follow on the social medias, being Tanya, the War Mistress. Shout outs to that powerhouse. Um, I'm glad that her live streams are somewhere that we could actually get to know each other and meet and got you here and all of that stuff. So yeah, that is awesome, and I am a fan. So, as I was saying, um, yesterday, we had a good show and we talked about some really, really good stuff yesterday. The idea of freedom is something that is really on me all the time. And I want to expand on that. But first, I want to talk to you guys about taking a pause. And this does tie into freedom, and this ties into our hobbies and our games and all of that stuff. Now, I want to start off by saying yesterday we talked about, in honor of Juneteenth, what does it mean to be free and how this manifests itself in our lives and in our hobbies, okay? And that is a really, really big thing. And I talked about the mind prison that a lot of us keep ourselves in, especially um with a lot of the stuff that we've been gaming with for a long time. Oh, I play third edition, so blah blah blah. That's just what I'm gonna play. I still play second edition, all that stuff. I don't like the new thing that they did with fifth edition. Warhammer fourth edition was the best edition ever. So I don't care if they're coming out with 10th. All that stuff, right? And that is a prison that we can keep ourselves locked in that robs us of the joy that we can have in the hobby that we spent all this time for. By the way, Zan, how's my sound looking? Can you hear me right now? I'm double checking. Let me know with a thumbs up or a heart if you can, and just the word no if you can't. I'm specifically talking away from the mic to test something here. Anyway, so as that being the case and all that stuff, Mo man, I was saying fourth edition. um, so, that is one of the really big. Thank you. Okay, sound is really good. I did fix the problem. That's good. So there are a couple of things that really locks us into those mind prisons, and one of the things, as soon as I got off the show, with you guys yesterday, I found myself tap dancing around in one of mine. So let me tell you what happened and why today's subject is today's subject. As you guys know, my sister lives with me nowadays, and I have been teaching her the wonders of tabletop role playing and mini wargaming. Okay, and yesterday I'm like, all right, you're done with work. I'm done with work. Come out of your room. We're gonna paint your orc army. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. Hang on a minute. I'm very not rested. So my superpowers are not working at full strength right now, which means I'm not as tolerant to heat as I would normally be. Ah! And I just spilled hot coffee on myself. Give me just a sec. Woohoo! All right. So now that I got the hot coffee, every time I think of us a hot coffee, yeah. So as I was saying, I sat down with my sister and she started painting her orcs. And as you guys know, I've been working on some stuff for Dead Zone. Okay, I printed up an army of marionettes. Those are the elven drone robots that they use for war. Because why go to war yourself when you can send a robot? I love sci-fi. Um, and I started painting them. I had them primed, and I have them like rattle canned in this really great silver, expensive can that I got from a friend of mine who was having his um his quarterly purging, and it's a great vivid silver. It's like platinum. I love this stuff, and I'm like, yes, this is robot. And I primed them all with that. I rattle canned them with that in the same way that you would do gold for Adeptus Custodes. If you're a Warhammer player, you know what I'm talking about. Um, but I couldn't figure out what colors to put on them. I needed contrast. I needed to get stuff in there to make the shapes pop and all that other stuff. And I'm literally sitting up going, I don't know. Let me try purple. Well, maybe a green. Well, maybe there, and maybe the, and I did, and maybe the, and maybe the, and maybe the, and I just could not come up with an idea. And then I realized between my blessed sisters, my alien hives, my space marines, my not quite space marines, my Apex Legion guys, the ones that I painted last time, time before last rather, my beast men, and honestly, I've got so much more to paint. I got my hands on a set of Dark Eldar, or as they're called nowadays, Drew Carries. And I've got some terrain I've got to paint. All of that hit my brain as I had the brush in my hand and nothing came out. I was literally, and I don't mean that in the way that is colloquially used. I was literally psychologically overwhelmed. Uh, and then the bars of my mind prison started to tingle. I had my elders in the back of my head as though I was Emilio Estevez in The Breakfast Club. Look it up if you don't already know, okay? Going, no, you finish what you start. You have to show integrity. Brr, brr, brr. And I'm like, but I can't think of what. No, you sat down to do this. She's painting. You need to paint with her. And then a little thug came to my mind in the voice of Riley from the Boondocks going, pause. And I'm like, hold up. This is my hobby. It is my job, but it is my hobby as well. So what am I doing? What the crap am I doing here? No, I'm gonna just put this down. I'm gonna just put this down. I'm gonna put it down. I'm gonna push it away. I'm gonna think about Dead Zone. I'm gonna think about a couple other things. But sometimes you have to sit down and pause, or more to the point, you have to allow yourself the freedom to not finish. Okay? I had to think, who's setting this deadline? Well, I'm setting the deadline. But how many times have I had a deadline at a real job? And I've gone to my boss and I'm like, I need some more time. I need some of this. I need some of that. And they're like, no, you gotta. Sometimes it was merited, but most times it was used as a matter of control. And then I'm like, my boss is kind of a jerk. How do I know? Because I am my boss. So here I am talking to my boss going, I can't think of anything right now. And my boss going, maybe you should take some time, walk away from these robots, paint something else, or not paint something else. Between the programming that you're studying, the shows that you're writing, the painting that you're already doing on air, the terrain, the gaming lessons, the travel that you have to do for all this stuff. Maybe you need to not paint right now. Allow yourself the freedom to take a break and know that it's okay. And I'm like, holy crap. Holy crap. Maybe I should just allow myself that freedom. And so I put the robots down, or I need an unpaid intern and a whip. Cute. Nice flashback to yesterday. But no. I mean, don't get me wrong. Um, the reason, and this is like a real talk, a little peek behind the scenes of Back in the Deck Productions. The reason that I don't have interns is because I don't believe in an unpaid internship. Okay? I really don't. Primarily because I put this together for the people that didn't have anywhere else to go, either because of finances or travel or anything like that. So I feel bad enough that I don't pay my co hosts. Okay. And that's real talk. That is real talk. So I'm not going to have somebody come in here and say, paint my mini so I can play with them. Nah. When I can afford to pay someone $20 an hour, I will bring them in and pay them $20 an hour. And y'all can help with that with one-time donations or joining the Patreon. All right. If the Patreon and all of this stuff can net me about $5,000 a month, then I can pay people. All right. And I really want it to get that high. So like these videos, share them, subscribe. Let me take some people that are in art school and need some work and give that work to them. All right. That is the real talk. All right. At least, help me so I can build up the following and get sponsorships and all that other stuff, because I've been doing this out of pocket for almost a decade. And I appreciate the patrons that keep me up and going, So yeah, real talk. Cue the 1980s Return of the King. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. I have that in my head every morning. I don't want to go to work today, but the Lord of my checks says, nay, nay, nay. You're gonna work all day, all day, all day. Yeah, seriously. But like I was saying, I should allow myself the grace to not work and to not hobby. And I'm like, but no, because if I don't do that, I'm being lazy. I could do so much more. I could. And all I had in my head was my mom, my grandma, every freaking teacher I had from the second grade to my junior year of college. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your potential. You need to buckle down. You need to commit to the work. You need to. Even the shoe company is telling you through your commercial to just do it. No. Sometimes, just sometimes, I'm not talking habitually. I'm not talking daily. But a lot of people think that once they start, they have to finish right then and there. Okay? And this isn't just the ADD talking. This is for you neurotypicals out there as well. Sometimes you just don't have it in you. Okay? And I find that the mind prison that people have themselves in on this comes down to the stuff that they were taught. Integrity, deadlines. But those bars are made up of not just fears, but other people's fears. I know I got some parents out there, and I'm a parent, okay? I don't mean I'm apparently something. No, I mean I'm a parent, all right? I have offspring. And the one thing that I do my best and did my best to do was not to pass on my fears to the generation that came behind me. And when I say pass on my fears, all of those voices that are in my head, Finish what you start. You have to have integrity. Don't mess around like that. Apply yourself. Brr, 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 brr. Right? I will tell you this. All of those places, all of those people came from places of belief in me and places of love for me, but fear of the world that they had come from. So I never allowed myself the grace to not push, to not hustle, to not constantly show, or to not live my life as every conversation, every show, every job was an audition where I had to prove that I was worthy to stay there. And this is something that killed me in relationships for decades. Always having to prove that I was safe, always having to prove that she didn't choose poorly. You know, instead of recognizing that though I'm not perfect, I'm not a monster. Um, though I'm not rich, I'm not untalented. And though I am tired, I'm not lazy. All right? All of those words. All of those words. Um all of those things. Finish what you start. Have integrity. When you start something, finish it. Blah 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 blah. And though this is my job, it's the jobification of my hobby. Okay? Um, Make no mistake, I do show up and I do shows. I'm doing my best to do shows Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, a consistent schedule for you guys. Although I was thinking about scaling it back to once a week, so I can give you guys really, really good stuff instead of just casual conversation. I don't know. I haven't decided. But one of the things that I do as far as the jobification goes is yeah, I show up even when I don't feel like it. Because sometimes I do want to stay in bed. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I know it's 3 o'clock p.m. in California, but bed is comfortable. Bed is safe. Bed is in a house with walls and a ceiling, and outside there's drama and there's people, and what if I say the wrong thing? What if I upset someone? What if I get hate rated yet again? Screw it. Got to show up, got to do that stuff. But when it comes to the stuff that I do, that's for me. I don't have to grind like a job. And this is something that is one of the biggest ironies of life, okay? Um, the fact that a lot of the things that we teach are things that we ourselves must practice. Because I'm teaching people how to paint and how to play games, and I'm like, you don't have to freaking worry about winning on your thing. Just stop it. Just stop it. You don't have to worry about all that stuff. All right. Just roll the dice. Just roll the dice and let's do the numbers. Come on. Instead of don't worry about making the absolute right move. You don't know all the rules yet. So here I am having to practice what I preach. All right. And that's the thing. Sometimes you got to pause, especially when you're doing something creative and there's nothing coming. This is for you writers, you musicians, you modelers, you painters, you poets, all of those things. All of those things. Sometimes you just got to put down your instrument, put down your art. Sometimes you just might want to turn on, not want. Sometimes you might just need to log into TikTok and watch a couple of people try and think of something witty to say as their cat stares at the camera. It's fine, guys. And here's the reason. Have you ever noticed that after vacation, you're better at your job? Or when you finally gotten some rest, you're better at the thing that makes you tired. All right? This is my point. Sometimes you just got to take some time. Take some time away from the thing. Now, I gave you guys the components of what was overwhelming my brain meat, you know. Oh my God, these robots and all this stuff, and how can I get this technique in, and blah, 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 blah. And it took the fun out of my hobby. And so what I do, I put it down. I put it down and I did something else. Yes, it was something else related to Dead Zone, but it wasn't painting. Okay, it wasn't army building, you know? Um, because sometimes you just don't got it. Sometimes you need to take a break and watch a movie. you know, ain't nothing wrong with saying, as much as I wanted to get this army painted today, I'm gonna watch Ant-Man and the Wasp. you know, because again, the things that we do that refill our souls, the stuff that we do for fun and amusement and pleasure. Um, I've known people in my life that try and take what I call the Western interpretation of Eastern culture to heart, and it doesn't do them much good. Well, whatever do you mean? You amazingly strange yet good looking wizard, you? I mean this. Parts of Eastern philosophy are like everything you do is a reflection of yourself. So, what you do represents who you are to the world. And so, what do? They apply that principle in everything they do. And it's like, yeah, there is that. But it's a quick question, a real quick question. Okay, yeah. Um, what aspects are you showing to the world? Are you showing patience and grace? Are you showing that the part of you that you're giving to the world is free enough to know when to step back? Or are you trying to, you know, grind and 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 grind yourself to dust in order to present the best aspects of yourself at all times as though you have no negative aspects of yourself? Well, guess what? I'm a human being. Sometimes I get tired. Sometimes I do run out of ideas. um, and seriously, that is a really, really big and important part of not just hobbies, not just games, but life, you know? As you guys know, I'm in a weekly game of D&D every Thursday. In a game of D&D. I broadcast last week's session, and I got nothing but respect for my GM because grinding away, preparing a game every single week, every 7 days on top of a day job. All right. It's like, whoa, it's Wednesday night and I have to prep. Right. But here's the thing. A couple of weeks ago, he said, yeah, we're not gaming tonight. And I was like, dude, you okay? And I'm just tired. I can't run the game tonight. And I'm like, bro, you are those about to rock. We salute you! Yeah, seriously, we salute you for not pushing yourself to run a bad game because you just need some time off. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. If you guys are younger than me, and that means millennials specifically, American culture pushed a lot of you guys, to grind and grind and grind and be what my dance partner calls one person armies. Okay? And it's like, dude, that doesn't do anybody any good except for the person who makes more money than you on what you're doing. I.e., your boss might want you to grind yourself into powder, primarily because if you do, they'll just hire somebody else to do it, and they'll just go through it and go through it and go through it. We all know that. Okay? But when it comes to you, the stuff that you do, the stuff that you want to do, the stuff that turns your crank or gets your motor going or whatever motivational phrase that you want to use on that level, dude, sometimes you just got to take a minute. Sometimes you got to take a minute to not do that. One of my favorite songs was Dream On from Aerosmith. And one of the lines, the one that really got me, and this is something that I take into a lot of different places in my life, is I know everybody says you've got to lose to know how to win. Willy Wonka says you can't get out that way. You have to go forward to go back. you know, and places like that all over popular culture that says sometimes you just need to stop. You need to pause. you know, I mean, seriously. Let's see. Xanathates is over here. I'm building my new desk right now, which will be for hobby space. Oh, yeah. Yeah, seriously. Dude, awesome. A dedicated space for your hobbying. Through all of this stuff, I actually don't have one. I don't have a hobby desk, so I can't do that whole TikTok thing of, no, seriously, show me what your desk looks like right now. I can't. At least not for the hobby space. I've got a whole studio. And I haven't put a desk in here because if you guys were to be in here live, you would see I'm boxed in when I'm doing this show. I can't even get up and go to the bathroom if I had to. There's a whole lot in my way between here and the door. So that's a big thing. Um, but a lot of people still have those prison bars in their head. Those parents, you've got to win, Andrew. You've got to win. And it's like, whoa. Sometimes you got to rest. If ever you talk to someone who is in amazing shape, okay, I'm talking ripped, buff, cut, blah blah blah. They'll tell you, um, even if they're in the gym for 7 days a week, one of those days they're barely lifting anything. It's like I'm benching 280, 8 reps of 20. But one day during that week, they're like, nah, today I'm just gonna be on the treadmill. That's what I'm gonna do. Because real talk, doing that same thing over and over, they call it a grind, but really think about what grinding is. Okay, it is removing the surface by way of friction. All right, that's a lot. And anybody who does fitness will tell you. Um, anybody who does fitness that'll tell you is um, taking time to rest, getting hydrated, and sleeping is even more important than lifting, you know, or grinding away, because the process of improvement in any fashion, like painting, for example, is you're tearing down something when you're painting its twitch muscle and neural pathways, and then letting it heal in such a way that it's better at doing that thing next time. But if you never take that time to heal, all you're doing is tearing it apart. So sometimes you have to take a break off and not write, not paint. Um, this is one of the reasons that we came up with that second R. I need some R&R. And what is that? Rest and relaxation? Rest and recreation. Recreate as in recreate, as in to create or to make again. Okay, this is repair. All right? It literally is to rebuild, to build again. And most of us, especially if you are younger than I am, meaning millennial, Zoomer. I'm not quite sure about alphas. I don't know that much about them. I'm not around as many kids as I'd like to be. Not in a Matt Walsh kind of way. Um, you were taught that anything other than moving to perfection. I was checking my notes. Yeah, you were taught that moving any direction other than perfection is a waste of your time and your potential, and you've got to grind, and you got to get out there, and you got to work, and all of that is taking on someone else's fear. Okay, the fear that your parents had of being bad parents and not preparing you for the world, you know. And this is something that I've always not wrestled with, but I've actually batted it around like a kitten, just or like a kitten bats a ball of yarn. Y'all know I don't go around batting kittens. All right. Sorry, I'm very tired. Um, just the idea that grinding and grinding and grinding creates holes. You got to rebuild, you know? Um, One of my favorite TV shows ended a few weeks ago, but one of the lines in the episodes of the final season was be successful, don't be successful. I just want my son to be happy. And that hit me so deep. I'm like, yes, that's all any parent ever has to say. But I too, as a Generation Xer, was brought up in a world of neglect and fear. All right. And those were the bars to the mind prison of my previous generation. Wow. What do we got? Let's see. I've been really slacking the last few weeks on my workouts too, though. It was actually really nice going back to my yoga class after a few weeks off. I had gotten into a routine and was kind of going through the motions. Coming back after a break, though, I actually got to take a little time to think about what I was doing, why I was doing it, and the way that I did it. So well said, Xanathades. Oh my God. Let me give you so many flowers on that one. Okay, the Denethor Bios series. Not gonna go that far. All right. I do share a lot in common with Faramir, but I'm a lot closer to Gandalf. Basically because I call people fools. Um, but yeah, that's exactly it. You know, sometimes you need to take a step back and examine, why does this not work? What is on my mind? You know, if I had kept trying to push through and paint those minis yesterday, I wouldn't have understood all of the other things that was standing in the way of it. I was so busy fighting that stuff that I didn't quite understand what it was that I was fighting. I just knew that I had to fight. Yep, Neon Arlecchino, life goals. I do want to be that uncle. Instead of, the what was it that you called me yesterday? Commander of the Side Eye Society or something like that. I did like that though. So when it comes to that, yeah, taking some time to pause and think. And this has so many implications with every game you play, from D&D to life itself. All right? Take some time to pause. Why am I having them run through this dungeon, and why am I so committed to having this trap in this dungeon at this time? Yeah, Captain Side Eye, elevator of significant others. Yeah, evaluator of significant others. Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, seriously speaking, sometimes you just got to take that step back and go, why did I do it like this? Okay? This is one of the techniques, one of the many techniques of working smarter, not harder. All right? I hear people all the time. I worked really hard on that. I work really hard. I study really hard. I put in so much work. And I ask them a serious question that their defenses, have led people to tell me that I'm condescending, or I'm an intelligent buttocks, or illiterate donkey, you know. Um, I'm like, yeah, you worked super hard, but were you working in the right direction? You know, you can travel as hard as you want going west, but if where you're trying to get to is east, you're going to go around the whole world before you get there, and you might drown in the ocean on the way. You know, so sometimes you got to take a step back. I think about the movie Alive. Okay, it was a '90s movie about I forgot what country. I know either Neon Zen or even Call of Fortnite is going to um correct me on this one. But yeah, it was a soccer team who crashed in I believe it was the Alps, and they went looking for part of the team went looking for help. The other part of the team started starving to death, and then they started eating their dead in order not to starve. Okay, and the irony of that story, and you guys can look this up, is that there was a ski lodge 4 miles in the direction opposite of where they decided to walk to look for help. Okay? I mean, seriously speaking, this soccer team was practically dead to the last man. And if they'd gone in the other direction, yeah, if they'd gone in the other direction, they would have found shelter and all of them probably would have survived. Isn't that ironic? You know? But what do we do? What were we taught to do as people that live in the 21st century? It is when it's not working, when grinding isn't working, grind harder. When fighting isn't working, fight harder. um so yeah, I mean, real talk. Wait, what is this? Oh yeah, the Dahmer party. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Dahmer party. All they had to do was reach out for help. Um, so yeah, and this is what I call being committed to a bad idea. Okay. And I want you GMs to really think about this. Okay, listen to me. Sometimes we get caught up so hard in the grind. We commit so hard because we don't want to be wrong, or we don't want to look stupid, or we don't want to feel incompetent. Okay, that we just grind harder at the stuff that isn't working. Okay, if your players aren't into the story that you wrote, okay, don't go there, Xanathates. I will tell you 100%. Neon is a very, very, very intelligent person, and they probably misspelled it as a joke. Okay. But anyway. Um, but yeah. Uh, a lot of DMs when they're running a campaign, um, write this epic story. You know, they have this epic, sweeping Tolkien-esque thing that they worked really hard on, and sometimes, most times, their players just want to shop. You know, and that can frustrate the crap out of them. But this is how I run a game. Are you running a game, or are your players not showing up because they're not having fun? You know, so sometimes you got to pause. Okay. Last Monday, yeah, last Monday, as in a week past yesterday. I wanted to run C24, but I couldn't reach quorum. I had two of my four players show up, and where I have them in the story, that wasn't working. So, did I waste their time? No, we had a GM and player meeting. Part of that is up on the Patreon, or at least will be by tomorrow. Um, I set it in stone. Now I got to get it done. So yeah, um, because I had to, as my great grandfather used to say, take what you got and make what you want out of it. You have to allow yourself the freedom to be flexible. But I worked on this game and we got to play this game. Dude, you are too tired to run it in an enjoyable manner. Or you are too committed to what you planned on doing that you're not seeing what your collaborators need. Okay? So sometimes you got to pause. Just like Xanathay had said about his yoga. Um, After some time off, he got some time to think about, or should I say during his time out, he took some of that time to think about why they were stretching a certain way, why they were standing in a certain way, what they were doing that might have been correct and incorrect in the way that, overextensions and pulling muscles and things like that, you know, and this is really important. when it comes to a lot of things that we do, because our imaginations will always, always misalign with our capabilities. This is not a level of shame to have. It is not. Just let that part go. Okay? Open the door to that prison and walk away. You will always be able to imagine things that aren't even possible by the laws of physics. If you've ever read a superhero comic, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? If you're a fan of Star Trek, yeah, feel free to reverse the polarity on the deflector dish. Okay? Because seriously, I mean that stuff is outside the laws of physics in a lot of different ways, but we can imagine it. Okay? But a lot of the times we imagine ourselves doing something. I see this most often in people that grind for perfection in a short amount of time. Okay? I'm going to start powerlifting, and by the end of September, I'm going to be able to bench 360 pounds. No, you're not. Muscle does not build that quickly, but it's good that you can imagine that. Now, you might be able to get there in a year. If you do everything properly, you may probably get there in a year, depending on from where you start. Okay? But that will also require working properly, taking rests, taking some time to not powerlift to examine where you misstep and how to correct that path. Okay? Leg day. So yeah, real talk. All right? A lot of the times we set our standards by what we imagine, and then we grind. Most times, and this is the case with myself, I set my standards based on what other people tell me that I'm capable of. But as I'm in lots and lots of therapy to go through, my problem is discernment. Who is setting what they think I'm capable of, and how much of it do they actually know? All right, this is one of the reasons I'm like, stop telling me about my production value, unless you're in the field. I think back to one of my favorite authors, Sir Terry Pratchett, and when he announced that he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, the first thing he said was, I've been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and no, there's nothing you can do unless you are a neurologist on the cutting edge of fringe science or from the future. But notice how he pointed out you have to be in the field and researching and good at things that medical science has not managed to crack yet. All right? That's the help that you can give me. Outside, unless those are your circumstances, there is no help to be had. This is what it is. And that was so masterful. Okay? He took that pause. He wrote 3 more books before he died because he's a beast. But yeah, this is one of the really, really big things. Sometimes we have to pause, take a look at what we're doing, why we're doing it, what we would like to do, and then what we are capable of doing. Yesterday, I was not capable of painting those robots. I did not have a plan. I didn't have a color palette. I didn't have any of the things that I needed. I had a butt ton of paint in front of me. I had some relatively prime models and no ideas. So I put them down. Didn't beat myself up over it. I allowed myself the freedom to not do, or more to the point, the freedom from the idea that not finishing these things reflected upon my integrity. All right? This is huge. This is a huge concept, to allow yourself the freedom from ideas that do not work. Okay? When you're writing your campaign or even prepping for the very next game, you need to allow yourself the freedom to not run the game that you planned, just the freedom to not run that. Primarily because if you can free yourself from what you have independently committed to after keeping your own counsel, you are open to the possibility of something even better. That must have been hard, writing 3 books with Alzheimer's. Yeah, I bet it was freaking, I bet it was Herculean in its efforts. But real talk, um, I'm I'm not a tenth of the writer that Terry Pratchett was, and in truth, I only want to be about, yeah, half. Seriously, I only want to be half the writer that he was. I don't have very high ambitions, you know. I'm free enough to adjust the ambitions that I have, but I come from having so little that I set my goals in very, very small steps. Not because I don't believe I'm capable of accomplishing more, but I might go higher than I'm comfortable with. You know, Going to a certain level might be a little itchy. I remember my whole life I wanted to get out of the hood, go to the suburbs, have a 2-story house with a doorbell. Okay. I lived in the suburbs for 20 years. I don't like it there. I personally don't like it there. All right. So does this mean that but since I don't like it there, if living in the suburbs is the next step between where I'm at and going to Bel Air, I'm fine not going to Bel Air, because if I didn't like it in the suburbs, I may hate it in Bel Air. But who knows? Maybe one day I'll give it a shot. Who knows? I don't know. You know. But the thing is, I'm not committed to the idea with everything that I am. The only thing I'm committed to with everything that makes me me is finding out, taking a look, dipping my toe in, seeing how the water is. And then if I jump in, if I go 10 toes down in the whole thing and I really like it, I won't care if my fingers get pruny. Okay? But if I don't like it, then I'm gone. It's fine, because I'm not as concerned with failure as I was taught to be, as much as I'm concerned with living a life that makes me happy. Okay? One where I wake up in the morning and can't wait to do the thing. Okay? I love being here with you guys most days. So I wake up and I'm like, got my show at 3 o'clock. Or, hey, I get to run my game today, And this is a big thing. When you give yourself the freedom of thought, the freedom of a few other things, then your mindset can change from have to get to. I have to go do this, or I get to do this, I have to finish that story. I have to finish prepping for this game. Or I get to design a secret society and I get to figure out what monsters to throw at my players. You see the difference? The actions are the same, but from where it comes from, where you allow yourself the freedom of something. Okay, when you are in that mind prison and you are not free, you have to. But when you are free from those fears and free to do the thing that you love to do, then you get to. It becomes fun. Okay? Now, I kind of want to get into that, just taking the pause. You take the pause so that you can reset your head from must to get to. Eventually, I'll get to paint those robots in a way that I think might be awesome. But I don't have to paint them today. Do you see where I'm getting at now? Eventually I'll get to paint those minis. But right now I don't have to. All right? But I can only get to that freedom when I take some time off of the grind, when I pause to look around. When I pause to go, why am I doing this? Why am I working so hard at painting these minis? I'm not putting them on camera this week. If I get the chance to play Dead Zone, either gold fishing, i.e. solar play, or solo play, sorry, um, or I get to play with someone else. If I use this team, I know which models are what. So why am I pushing myself to do this? Knock it off. Stop it. Because even though it's my job, I chose it as my job because it's fun. Now don't get me wrong. Sometimes there is work involved, but there is a difference. And if you grew up in the 21st century in the United States, this might be a new idea. But work does not equal pain, and pain does not equal suffering. Okay. I specifically point this out to you millennials out there because I've seen your bosses come down on you for having the gall to enjoy your job in those places where you can enjoy your job. I can't tell you how many times I've been reamed out for smiling or for being proud of myself for finally understanding something that I was taught at work and now I'm doing in a way that I think I'm doing well. Oh man, my bosses used to come down on me about that. Why are you smiling so much? What do you think you're so proud of yourself about? Why are you being so cocky? I'm like, I figured out the code and the procedure, and I've upped my production, so now I can get more done in less time with less energy. I think that's pretty cool. You need to learn your place. I get it. For the record, I did quit those jobs. But again, I'm not recommending you guys quit your jobs and all that other stuff. I am a different animal from most. All right. Let's see. I don't feel like I have to do WYSIWYG on my minis, but I feel like it's so cool that I get to do it if I want to. Exactly, Zen. That is exactly it. And I'm glad you brought up WYSIWYG. For those of you guys that aren't in the mini wargaming place, it's what you see is what you get, meaning everything on your model is exactly how it's written on the page. If you play Warhammer 40K, it's the this particular type of Space Marine with this weapon. Okay, and your weapons have to match what's on the page or else blah blah blah. I never liked it because I saw the marketing ploy. And then the behavior of people who cheat at tournaments. So a lot of people said, no, we do WYSIWYG because I don't want people saying that they have a flamethrower when they actually just have a pistol, and I'm like, yeah, no, you just fell into the marketing. I'm like, if people want to cheat at games, maybe that's what they have to do to have fun, and good luck with that. I'm not going to play with you. So yeah, and I don't particularly do WYSIWYG primarily because I don't like putting models together. Okay. I really don't. I don't like putting models together. It is a chore for me. And why is it a chore? Because I am clumsy. All right. If I'm holding a tiny, tiny, tiny little hand and I drop it, it is gone. All right. Now, granted, here in the Wizard's Tower, I have multiple dimension doors that are on my floor. So if I drop the head to one of my alien hive things, it is gone. I'm just going to have to print another one. So I tend to print things in one piece. And sometimes I'll drop a model that's on a base and it'll break off the base and it is gone forever. Even when I move, even when I move all the furniture and clean everything from top to bottom, I never find that thing until I'm looking for a sock and it'll pop up like 3 rooms away because, well, that's what it's like living in a wizard's tower. So yeah. But a lot of people are stuck in this mind prison that says you can't play unless it's WYSIWYG. Who says? It's a toy. We're playing with toy soldiers. We're going pew, 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 And if you get to do it, if you get to do WYSIWYG, it's because you want to. If you get to paint the miniatures, it's because you want to, not because you have to. And I'll tell you this, I've been publicly shamed in my days of War Machine for going to a table with a bunch of glued together minis that had not nary a drip of paint. None. Not even primed. It's all gray. Because I'm here to play. I'm not here to paint. I'm not here to model. I'm not here to create a little world of toys that people are afraid to touch. I want to go pew, 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 bang, 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 dice, dice, rolly. All right? I eventually did learn how to paint because, as I said with you guys, when I got into arguments with my significant other, instead of yelling, screaming, throwing things, and all the stuff that comes out when you fight, I would take a pause and I would go paint a miniature. Eventually I got a lot better at it. I'm like, oh, look at that. you know, and now I kind of enjoy painting. Not gonna lie, the slap chop method, my favorite. Because it turns painting from a chore into a way to create something that my ADHD brain can go, hey, that's nice. Immediate gratification is good, especially with something that you don't get paid for. Yay! All right. Um, so yeah. So as I was painting yesterday, I couldn't. So I paused. I just paused. I'll get back to painting them eventually. That doesn't mean I'm not going to play with them until I have them painted. Oh, no. No, 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 no. I'm going to play with them the next chance I get. And I will paint them when I feel that I have an idea that's worth exploring. But yesterday I didn't have that, so I didn't bother. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong for taking a pause when nothing is coming. Over the course of my life, I've studied so many things. I've been a popper, a pusher, a banker, a poet, a pawn, and a king. And when I was trying to be a writer, some people were like, if you've got writer's block, you just have to write anyway. Just grind through it. Grind, grind, grind. And the fact of the matter is, the thing that resonated with me most came down to the get to, okay? As you guys know, I study. I study for 5-6 hours a day, every day. And I was watching a writer's room on YouTube with Aaron Sorkin, writer of The West Wing, The Newsroom, A Few Good Men, and a lot of other things I really like. And a couple of other people were there, but the two main ones that I turned on the video for were for Aaron Sorkin and Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele being the writer-director of Get Out and Us and Nope, all that stuff. Cool. And Jordan Peele said, when you're having a problem writing out one part of the script, hey, Glow Wolf, been a while. Yes. Oh my God, littering your city with 18mm scale Goose Hydra. Dude, Pixar, it didn't happen. Decker's on the book or the Discord. I want to see pictures. Goose Hydra. Yeah. And he said, if you're having a hard time with a certain part of the script, stop and work on another part of the script. And he talked about writing Get Out. And he was having a hard time working on the climax. So instead of working on the climax, he put that part of the story aside and he started working on some of the subplot and back stuff. He's like, I can't figure out a good climax to this movie, but I get to design a secret society. And I'm just like, because again, since yesterday's show was about freedom, and this is a theme I'm sticking to for this week, okay? This whole week, in honor of Juneteenth, we're going to be talking about aspects of freedom. All right? The mind prison that I was in was the idea that I had to sit down and do something from start to finish. And I literally can't tell you how many things I left incomplete because I got stuck at something. And it's not that I gave up by going, I quit. No, it was just I never got back around to it. Like, seriously, I never got back around to it because I couldn't get past the part of the story that I got caught up on. And I didn't work on any other part, And a good friend, you guys know him as Mad Wookie when you see him here. He was at the last Decker Day event that I threw back in August, I think it was. And he was shocked at how many completed boards I had. Okay, I had 8 or 9 full tables for skirmish games. And he's like, I wish I had the drive to just do what he does because I can't finish anything. And I'm like, I didn't exactly finish the board. Okay. There was only, I finish sections. And I realize that when I get stuck at something, I can start something else, and that might get the creative juices flowing, i.e., I paused. You know, I think of all of the game boards that I've done, the Carnivale board that I made is my favorite. Okay. It really is. I like the way it looks. I like its bright colors. And I didn't make it all at once. Okay. I literally looked at the starter set that I could not afford. And I saw the board that came with the starter set and said, hey, those are just tiles that are printed on a piece of paper. I think I can do that with foam. And everything on that are squares and rectangles. And I'm like, I can do that relatively quickly. So I turned on the Proxon, I cut the squares, I did all that jazz, I built the boards. Now, what about the buildings? I've been making the buildings forever with nothing to do with them. So boom, there we go. The things are there. And later on, I think it was like a month later, I started printing out things like barrels and stuff like that with the 3D printers. It took a while, but it wasn't like I sat down and painstakingly painted every brick in the road, and I did that for 2.5 years until I have this masterpiece of art. Not my process, okay? Did a little here, did a little there, and again, that's the ADHD brain. You guys know I play a lot of games, all right? I play so many games, but I can't sit down with a rule book, start on page 1, and read it all the way through to the end. You know, I eventually look up everything in the same way that you do with a Chilton's Guide for fixing your own cars. If you know, you know. You know, oh, well, thank you, Gaming Fix. You know, you work on one thing and then something else breaks, and then you work on another. And 10 years later, you've gone through the entire manual. Okay. And that's the thing. You know, sometimes I can read a chapter. Sometimes I can read 2 chapters. Sometimes I want to know something else, so I'll go to the index. Sometimes I'll look at all this stuff. But I'll do this here and that here, and I piecemeal everything together. You know, and at the end of the day, I get the result that I want by the time I want it. So that's cool. That being said, Glow Wolf, I want to see those Goose Hydra, because I might want to drop them on a board somewhere. So yeah, that's the whole thing. But I'm inviting you guys to open up the bars to your mind prison, okay? And pause. Take a look at what you're doing, or what you're stuck doing, and why it isn't working, or why it's causing misery. And pause. Just pause. Pause on the story that you're writing. Pause on the many that you're building and painting. Pause on scraping off those mold lines. Just pause for a minute. Think about something else. Think about why you want to do that stuff. And after you've taken some time to rest, you might be better. Now, I wanted to put this out there because y'all know how I like to get personal, all right? I did costuming and sewing for a long time. And one thing that taught me about this was, I gotta grind, I gotta get this going. I should be able to get these pants done by tomorrow. And the thing I noticed, and this is reflective of my 3D printing today, okay? Why do they remind me of things? Because if you have one, you know what I'm talking about. And if you're thinking about getting one, listen good. 3D printing, for any reason, is something that people approach thinking that the printer is like a toaster or a microwave, where you push the button and you get what you want. And that is not how it works. Okay? It is more like a sewing machine, where you've got to tune and tweak and move things in tiny, 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 tiny increments before you get it dialed in. And then once you do all that stuff, you push the button, you hope, and when you get what you like, you leave it there and you hope you don't have to do it again. For those of you guys out there with 3D printers, tell me I'm wrong. You know, you can't, because I have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8 of the damn things. So yeah. So seriously. But when I was sewing, using a sewing machine, okay, I found that the more tired that I was and didn't notice because I was pushing and I needed to pause, the more that I needed to pause and didn't pause, the more my thread would break, the more my stitches would go off of straight lines, i.e., the more mistakes I would make because I was tired or I was hungry. Even now, when I 3D print, I get more failures when I need to pause. $13 printer that you're going to get. Okay, cool. Let me know, and I'm not being sarcastic. Let me know how it works for you and if you need any help getting the thing dialed in. All right, Gaming Fix, I'll be happy to help you out with that because that's what we do here at Back in the Deck. Okay, we're a community. We're not this parasocial thing, at least until we hit 10,000 subscribers, and then I'm going to depend on all of y'all to help the other people because I can't be everywhere at once, right? Not that I'm forming the Justice League. But yeah, but a lot of the times we need to pause. Hey, Grundy doll, how you doing? Hope you got pants. Hope you got pants. Solomon Grundy want pants. So yeah, I definitely find that when I'm in need of taking a pause, my number one indicator to let me know that I need to pause is that I make mistakes with things that I know how to do. All right. I make way more mistakes when I'm tired or when I'm overworked or when I'm overwhelmed than I do when I come at the thing fresh, rested, and inspired, because I'm a human being. We all do that. So sometimes, got to take a pause. Okay? And when I do pause and go back to the sewing machine, I don't break as many stitches. When I do take a pause and go back to the 3D printer, I don't have to adjust layer height or redo supports 8 or 9 times, or check the temperature on the FDM, or all that other stuff. After taking some time or sleeping on it, I can say, hey, I need to replace my FEP. Yeah. I got to replace my FEP. I've got to check on my printer roll. I've got to really rethink that story. Sewing tension high. Yeah, exactly, Grundy doll. And again, if you were younger than me, because I'm technically a Zennial, as in Zennial with an X, not with a Z. Okay, meaning a junior generation X. You were taught to grind. You were taught that once you start, do nothing else until you finish, because you are better than a quitter. You are not a quitter. Unlock the doors to that prison. Don't let those bars resonate like that. Take a pause. Just step back. Take a minute. Okay? Take a day. Take a day. Walk away from the thing. Especially if you can't figure out why you're getting it wrong. Because this is the same tension that it was set on yesterday when everything was going fine, and now I'm breaking these stitches left, right, and sideways. Yeah, I'm so tired that I'm pulling the fabric through too hard, and now I'm breaking needles and breaking thread because I'm too tired to notice what I'm doing. No one knows when they're making mistakes, and most mistakes come when we are not in a place where we're rested or clear enough to notice what we're doing. So sometimes you got to pause. You got to pause. You got to take a step back. You got to not do the thing. As I said, sometime in the future, I will get to paint those robots. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you guys something real quick. All right. And I'm dead serious on this one. This is a big one. All right. Give me a sec. I know we're going over time, but give me a sec. Okay. I hold in my hand. Oh, you're having a trouble finding a link to the Discord? Thank you for saying that in there. Uh-huh. Let's see. Which one of us are going to do it? Is it going to be Neon or myself? Who gets there first? Paste. Click. There you go, Glow Wolf. So, in my hand, I have two pieces of terrain. This guy, and this guy. Okay? Now, I'm really liking how both of these guys look. These things are awesome. Okay? However, this one, I haven't even primed. I don't know if I'm done putting greebles on it. I don't know. All right? And I'll let you guys know I put all the greebles and I cut off all the other stuff on this thing. If you own your own house or your parents own your own house, you know exactly what I'm holding. All right? And yeah, I did this in maybe 20 minutes. Notice it's not primed. Here's one that's primed and even zenithalled, okay? And I put all the greebles and all that stuff on it, but I don't know what color I'm making this thing. And one day, in the future, I will. It's good enough for me to play with right now. Not good enough to have on camera with really high production value because you're a professional streamer and you should blah, 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 blah. I'll get around to it. I'm going to break on this thing. And I really like this one, actually. I'm going to make a few more of these because I like the way that they look and I like the way that they go together. And I'm going to play with this idea a lot more because it's very cool. I like it. I like it a lot. And I slapped this together. There was no plan, no rhyme or reason. I just organically did it and it came out cool. You know, and my old art mentor actually saw it and she was like, that is really impressive. Oh, wow, that is cool. You did that. You know, I knew you had it in you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wow, you never spoke to me this kindly when I was working under you. She's like, because you sucked back then. And that is why I adore her. But yeah, so again, I'm taking a pause. It ain't that critical, you know, but that mind prison, that thing that we need to free ourselves from comes down in so many ways. All right. This is one of the things, and I hate to sound like a hippie. Okay, because I hate platitudes. Y'all know I hate platitudes. But if y'all are into 3D printing, tabletop miniatures, Warhammer, Dead Zone, Firefight, D&D, whatever, y'all know what I talk about when I'm talking about your gray pile of shame. Shame. You got these minis and you haven't touched them. They're your pile of shame. You make costumes and look at all that fabric that you're not using because you bought it to make a costume to go to Ren Fair, but then you didn't end up going to Ren Fair that year and then COVID hit and you haven't made anything. Shame. Drop it. And some people look at it as, oh, look, it's my pile of opportunity. Look at my pile of opportunity. Look at all those models that I'll be able to put together and all that other stuff. Huh? And it's a platitude because they don't believe it. They're just saying that to make themselves feel better in the moment. You know who you are and y'all know who we're talking about. Okay, so no. The mind prison is, yeah, I got them for a reason and I'll get to them when I get to it. That's freedom. Okay? That is really freedom. How do I know? Because no one ever calls their bits box their box of opportunities. Okay? No, those are platypi. Okay, those are platypi. Plural for platypus. Okay? Platitudes are not egg-laying mammals. You can hate egg-laying mammals. Do your thing. I personally think that the platypus is cool. That's the only thing with a duck bill that I like. You know, because I hate ducks and I really hate geese. They're very, very mean. And when I say I don't like them, someone looked at me once and I was at this thing in the desert and they were like, do you have any moral objections to fagua? And I'm like, have you ever met a goose? And they looked at me and they laughed, which meant they have. Geese are evil. Evil. But yeah. So essentially, yeah, you don't call your bits box your box of opportunity. It's your bits box. You know what it's there for. You're going to pull something out of your bits box today, a month from now, 2 years from now, and go, hey, I got this thing and I put it in the bits box and this thing is boom, 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 boom. But you know what? Yeah, you don't call that a box of opportunity. You just call it your bits box because you're free enough to not have to label it to make yourself feel better. And why do you need to feel better? Because I spent this money on these miniatures and I haven't painted them. I'm bad. I'm terrible. I spent that hard-earned money and all that stuff. Stop. Just stop. Pause. Okay? Just pause. You bought the minis. You bought the minis because you wanted them at the time. Your money. Why not? You bought them. Okay? And you'll put them together when you feel like it. You'll put them together when you feel like it for the reason that will work for you. That's what freedom sounds like. Just pause. Pause and unlock those chains. Just pause. you know, I had a meeting today and someone was looking through my 3D printed collection and looking some of my games and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I'll finish that eventually. And not, oh my God, don't look at it. It is not done. It is not worthy of your time. No. I'll get it done when I get it done. All right. So yeah, that gray hides dust really well. Yeah. So seriously, free yourself from expectation and judgments and what you're doing with your hobby. And then you will free yourself to do it the way that you'd like to do it that will cause joy. Okay. I'll get around to painting those buildings eventually. I got a new airbrush the other day, so I might actually experiment with some camouflage patterns. Maybe. But until that day, I'll figure something out. I'll still play with them when I feel like playing with them. And I won't play with them when I don't feel like playing with them. But I don't feel like I have to because I started them and I need to show that I have integrity and I'm better than that. I am a good man. I finish what I start. Pause. I play with toys. That's what I do. I play with toys. I play with toys and go, rawr, smash, smash, moosh, moosh, ah. That's why I do it. And I'm free enough to do that with reckless abandon. And people are like, dude, you're old enough to be a grandparent. You're absolutely right. That means I'm old enough to do the things that I like to do as long as I'm not hurting anybody. So guess what? I play with toys. Does playing with toys not make me a middle-aged man? If it did, how many of us would live forever? No one would die of old age. Oh my God, I'm afraid of dying. Quick, hand me a Barbie. That's not the way it works, guys. Okay. But the thing is, I'm old enough to live. And you guys are old enough to live. I don't care if you're 9 or 50. All right? Oh, thank you, Grundy Doll. See, you totally missed the first like hour and a half of the show, and that's exactly what we're talking about. Taking a pause to free yourself from the mind prison. That's exactly that. But again, you and I have had hours of conversations like this, and ever since you were a young woman, you've been watching me live this truth, even in the face of those who would confine me in that mind prison and push me to grind, even when what I was doing wasn't working. Okay, and I'll let you guys know I ain't perfect. A lot of stuff I do today doesn't work, but the only way that I can find the solutions is to stop committing to bad ideas and to pause, to see if I'm tired, to see if I'm on a path that will lead to where I want to go, instead of working as hard as I can in a direction that is not where I intend on heading. Okay? So that's what I got for you guys today. Pause. Just pause. Pause. Take a break. Take a break, walk away. I don't care if you're working on your reports for work. Sometimes you need to get up and walk away from that screen because your eyes are straining and you're making calculated mistakes in the data entry that you're doing. Okay, sometimes you forget punctuation. Sometimes you can't remember where you wanted to go with the story. Other times you can't even remember what monsters you had your players set for 2 sessions away from now. Pause. Just pause. Stop. Stop it. Just stop it. Take a pause and always remember why you're doing what you're trying to do. What was your motivation for doing it? Okay? Just pause. If it's something that you must do for survival, cool. Take a pause and think about how to do it most effectively. Because you might not have the skill, the strength, or the spoons to do it most efficiently. Okay? God knows I don't have the manpower to run this show efficiently, but I'm doing my best to do it as effectively as I can. That's my entire point. Pause. And this is something to really think about. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. You posted the goose hydra. Yes, posted the goose hydra. So before we get out of here today, I finally get to leave you guys with a moment of zen. Because, yeah, we are pulling those things up, Glow Wolf. Oh, yeah. That is what we're doing. We are pulling those things up, and we are going to look because I want to see these things. These things are, oh, my God. Those are amazing. Those are amaze balls. All right. Yes, super. Wait, you made those with an FDM printer. That is great. Dude, your FDM printer is really dialed in at the level that you're at right now. That is awesome. I gotta say that. Yeah, that is really cool. So, yeah. So what I'm saying, guys, is take a pause. Remember why you're doing it. All right, and take a moment to find the joy. You know, as you guys know, I love comedy and I try and make you guys laugh. At least I just talk and I let whatever comes out of my mouth come out. And if you guys laugh, good. And if not, then why are you here? No, I'm kidding. Thank you for being here. Subscribe, share, do all that stuff so that I can start getting larger paychecks. Please, please, like show this to your friends with kids and stuff like that. Anyway, but take the time. Take the time to think about why you did it. Like I said, if you have to do it for survival, don't go at it full-fledged in panic mode. Think about how can I do this in the most effective way to do this. And by most effective, I mean in the most successful way that will cause the least amount of harm to you and anyone that has anything else to do with it. Because most of the time, the most efficient ways, especially in the 21st century, are not the safest or not the least damaging, but the most effective. You know? This is why I'm terrible at arguments, guys, because I don't argue. I'm like, I would like to effectively communicating. Oh, looks like you're trying to win the debate and not exchange ideas. Okay, I'm going to go now. That's literally what I do when I'm rested and I can take a pause and think about stuff. So, yeah, take those pauses. Remember why you're doing what you do. As I said, I'm a big fan of comedy. And Keenan Ivory Wayans, okay, essentially the patriarch of the Wayans family, the oldest Wayans brothers, that if you are 5 to 10 years younger than me, you probably don't even know. But he was the one that started the legacy way, 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 way back when he was working for Robert Townsend in his first screen role in Hollywood Shuffle. Okay, he played Jerry Curl. But one of the things he said when he was making his sketch comedy show in Living Color, look it up, it's on YouTube. He's also responsible for Jim Carrey having a career in the United States. He's Canadian. He said, regardless of what you're doing, especially when you're writing, you have to find the funny. Find the funny. And when a comedian says find the funny, what I hear is find the purpose. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this to make people laugh. Well, find what's funny about this situation. You know, and most comedians did that as a survival tactic. So when you're doing the creative things, when you're writing or creating music or writing a role-playing game and all that stuff, find the fun, find the beauty, take a moment to pause and re-find those reasons that you started it. Sometimes you might find that the absolute thing that you started it for is outside of your skill set. And you know what? That's fine. That is absolutely fine. Take it from someone whose skills have evolved on air, okay? If you guys go to Solar Gray's YouTube channel, you can go all the way back to 9 years ago when I first started doing this with a bootleg laptop and a mic to Guitar Hero. And you guys have seen me get better at doing this. And this is the best that I can do now, but it may not be the best I can do forever. But I like talking to you guys and I like sharing this stuff. And that's what I do this for. And when it got heavy and stuff, I had to take a pause. Sometimes I got to take a pause and go, all right, what message do I want to convey? How can I help the most amount of people? And how can I share elements of my story that I think people can benefit from because they are like me or were once like me? You know, and that's what I do. So yeah, so according to internet streamer culture, I have to do a call to action. So other than like, share, subscribe, do those YouTube things, and I literally mean this, share this. I'm here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or Pacific Daylight. Whatever time it says 3 o'clock on the current clocks in California, that's when I'm here. And, and I do my best to be here 5 days a week. All right. Subscribe to the channel. If you guys want to subscribe to the Twitch channel and you're broke, I get it. Use your Amazon Prime account. Okay, use your Amazon Prime account. It won't cost you anything, and it'll tell Twitch that they should pay me. And of course, we got donation pages and a Patreon and a Discord and all that stuff. Be part of the community. All right. Even if you're a lurker and you're afraid that what you have to say may be frowned upon or looked at, I will let you guys know. I built Back in the Deck to kick gatekeepers in the teeth and to take over the gate myself. All right, because gatekeepers keep a lot of people. It kept me out of a lot of this stuff for the first 13 years of my life. And I literally went through hell. That's my one. Trying to learn this stuff. And I've gone through so many things. And part of the job of the elders, which I'm rapidly becoming of, at least in my culture, is to make the path for those behind you easier than the one you had to tread. So I want to know what y'all have to say. All right. But with that, I want to say thank you. And I'm going to leave you guys with a little bit of a moment of Zen. Why? Because moments of Zen are actually kind of cool. I like that. All right. So yeah. And this is from, I say Glow Wolf, but it's Glow FF. All right. So Glow. But yeah. And this is a goose hydra. Cut off one head of the goose and many others come. This is so awesome. I love this thing. Yeah, since you're in the Discord, send me a DM with the link to the file if it's a free file. That is actually cool. And again, thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for showing up. And if you guys got any questions or comments or anything like that, then feel free to hit me up at backinthedeck@gmail.com. That's BACKINTHEDECK@gmail.com. You can also reach me on Twitter at backinthedeck, Instagram at backinthedeck, TikTok at bidp. That's BIDPY. The Facebook group is Deckers on the Book. If you are still part of that wretched hive of scum and villainy. Right now, it's a blue brick wall. I may change that. But yeah, join Deckers on the Book, and the Discord and all those other social medias. Post pictures. Post pictures. Start discussions. You can talk to anybody here about rulings and how to play certain games, how much it costs to get into certain games, and maybe ways on how to circumvent those costs. That's what we are here for. I'm really big on community, so join the community and be part of the community, you guys. But with that, I gotta say thank you for showing up. And if anybody tells you that you can't like what you like because of the circumstances of your birth, be it race, religion, creed, gender identity, sexual orientation, disabilities, neurodivergence, or your budget, because everybody who knows that the trailer park ain't never too far from the hood. You can just tell those people to take their cards, take any cards they're trying to pull on you, and to put them back in the deck. This is Solar Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerer, saying thank you for joining me today. Boy, we had a long show. Yeah, thank you for joining me today, and we will see you next time, hopefully tomorrow, on the dark side of the room. See you guys then.